Can you tell us what kind of PCs in terms of configuration and OS you were using during your work at Microsoft? Yeah, I can give you kind of a big picture snapshot. When I came in, I was in MS-DOS, and so everybody else generally had 386, and some people had 486s. The top machine at that point would be a 4666, but only probably people had those at home maybe, but they weren't buying those at work for compiling MS-DOS. My machine when I came in was a Pentium, which is, of course, is better than a 486. So I was like really stoked until I ran it. I'm like, it's not really any faster than the 386 25 that I've got over here as a test machine. And the reason is it was crippled in terms of CPU frequency to something like 16 megahertz. What they wanted to do was to make sure that the Pentium chip was fully compatible with everything we were making. So they would give us a couple of these test units to make sure that everything worked. But they were crippled in terms of clock rates, so you didn't get any performance gain out of it. When I finally got over to OLARPC, which was Windows NT, I believe I had made it all the way to 12 megabytes of memory. The standard was 8 megabytes memory. And later I looked, the system requirement is 12. So it was not a stretch to say you needed 12 to run the thing. And that was a 38640, I believe, in that time from... I don't know if that was the Gateway box. No, the Gateway box was the 33. Where there were a bunch of machines in that kind of 386, 40, 46, 25 range. That went on for a long time. And then because I went into NT, I then started working on RISC. And part of the reason I wanted to work on RISC was then you got a RISC machine. And so I would get a MIPS dual processor, 200 megahertz. I think that's 100 megahertz on each core. Pretty loaded up with RAM for the time. Machine, and the cost was that you then got to do all the work of porting a bunch of stuff over to the MIPS, but that was kind of fun anyway. So that was really what I used for the next couple of years. When I finally went back to Windows PCs, I think I had an AMD Athlon at both that era, so I don't actually remember what I went back to, but my early days were pretty much 386, 46, Pentium,